We first got wind of the proposed road while we were still living up at the Bush Estate, which is about a mile from here. The Bush Estate's mostly owned by Edinburgh University, but just before we left there was much more to do with the Bush Technopole, which is a consortium. It's funded by a lot of European money and Edinburgh University and Midlothian District Council. And the development that has started on the Bush, and which will continue if there are people willing to go in there in the biotechnology field, I think is going to be destructive to one of the most beautiful environments in Midlothian, if not in Scotland. The proposed road, which may cut through the Bilston Woods, is something which at the moment we hear some things and we don't hear other things. It seems to be, if it's going to go ahead, it seems to be kept pretty much under wraps, and maybe some people know something that we don't. However, the young people that I've met who are living in the Bilston Woods, I have great admiration for. I've heard some people in the local community saying derogatory things about them, and I think it's that they don't really understand that these people are environmentally aware and politically aware, and that really they are doing something beneficial to the community in the long term. It's a place, it's an ancient wood, and it can't be replaced. And it's a wonderful habitat for many species, as is the Bush Estate. It's been documented that the Bush Estate is a wonderful habitat. And you only have to look now at the increase in cars through the Bush Estate and other vehicles distributing pharmaceuticals, etc., and things associated with biotechnology, to see that if a road went through the Bilston Woods and joined up with the horrendous roundabout that's already been implemented just up the road, close to what was the countryside inn, it's now the Bush Farm Inn, that alongside that we would have the likes of, I'm not saying that we would have in particular, but we'd have the likes of more McDonald's, more fast food outlets, much more commercial enterprise in an area which is not really suited to it. It's not that I'm against capitalism in its good forms, but what I'm against is capitalism moving into natural, beautiful environments where people can live their lives in a more basic way. We came into this house as a business, first and foremost. We needed to have a new home because we had to leave the Bush Estate. But this is now our home, but it's also a business. From a business point of view, it's bound to be positive, I would think, because we'll have some overspill. We do an accommodation business, and presumably some of the businesses that might come into the area might use us. However, the negative side is far outweighs the business advantages. we have enough business as it is, and I think all the businesses round about do very well as it is, and many people who come on holiday, for example, they come to stay here because it's such a beautiful area. They maybe wouldn't come to stay if they had a huge road in the field next door, and all the associated pollution and things like that go with it. Apart from the noise, we have a lot of noise already from the road going into Edinburgh. The main Pennycook Edinburgh road has become much busier, and if we had another road on the other side, it would be like living a bit in Piccadilly Circus, really.
So you think it'd like actually increase traffic, like having a road built?
Definitely, definitely. Maybe not at the outset, but after a period of time. When they built the bypass road, at first it was just a road and there was hardly anything on it, and then very, very quickly it became congested. I think anybody in transportation will tell you that if you build new roads, there's just more and more cars to go on them. It makes a mockery of the so-called green belt. The green belt only exists so long as it's agreed upon by the people in charge. The green belt is not a thing anymore. It used to be a thing. You used to say this is a green belt, but it's no longer a green belt. They still have the sign up, green belt, but it keeps on changing all the time. It'll be a sad day if there has to be a forceful situation.
Come to Bilston, you'll see what it's all about.
Well, I've been living here now for 6 months. I came in February, and I have to say that I consider this place really unique and beautiful, and I just totally love the forest. I mean, I've got to know the wildlife and the birds, and it needs to be protected because it actually is an ancient forest and is designated as such. But basically they just think that they've got carte blanche to build whatever they want around here, because of the economic situation, and people should be grateful for having some sort of economic sort of life brought back in the district. But I mean, it's all part of a bigger plan. Edinburgh is going to expand out into the green belt, and then you've got the whole biotech industry aspect of it as well, which is pretty grim. You know, they want to. Edinburgh is investing mega bucks into the biotech industries, and they're encroaching. Well, that's the reason, one of the reasons for the road. They needed to feed the science park. So we've got a really weird situation here, beautiful bit of ancient forest surrounded by all sorts of modern crap, you know, modern threats of the worst kind.
think we've yet to see whether this biotechnology thing is going to take off, and hopefully it won't. That might sound a very strange thing to say to people who are working in that field, but I think it's a very, very dangerous area, and I think that if it's going to be looked at, it has to be very, very closely monitored, and I don't believe that it is being monitored as closely as it should be. The frightening thing is that people tolerate it, and people tolerate it because they are terrified of what is going to happen to them if they speak out, as I'm speaking out just now. They are absolutely terrified. They're terrified not just for themselves, but for their own families and what might happen. And I think the situation that arose just recently with the scientist, Dr. Kelly, is proof positive that people are terrified, that when they speak out, they are then put in a situation like the Spanish Inquisition with certain governments.
Remember I said here, saving this wee bit of land, this small little bit of land, in Britain. Where's everybody else? Where are they? Come and help! Please, we need help! Someone, help us!
We need help!
One fine day I was riding my bike and smoking a spliff, 'cause that's what I like. Policeman stopped me and began to stare. He said, "Hey sonny, what you smoking then?" I said, "It's a reefer, would you like some policeman? It's a reefer, do you like a blast? It's a reefer, would you like some policeman? Or would you prefer me to shove it up your